In the northern part of America, far from crowded cities and loud highways, there existed a small town that rarely appeared on maps, a town where nights arrived earlier than expected and stayed longer than they should. Dense forests surrounded the land like silent guards. Fog rolled in every evening, slow and heavy, as if the earth itself was breathing. At the edge of this town stood an old dam, concrete cracked by time, water endlessly crashing below it. Locals didn't visit it after sunset, not because it was dangerous, but because it felt wrong. No signs warned people away, no fences blocked the path. Still, something invisible kept everyone at a distance. The boy's name was Ethan Miller, 26 years old. Quiet by nature, the kind of person who listened more than he spoke. Ethan wasn't born in this town. He moved here recently, not chasing adventure, not chasing mystery, but running away from noise, from memories, from a past that never allowed him to sleep peacefully. He worked remotely as an infrastructure survey analyst. Concrete structures, bridges, old dams. Ethan lived in a rented house on the outskirts of town. Old wood, thin walls, floors that creaked even when no one walked. The house wasn't haunted, at least it didn't look like it, but silence inside it felt heavier. At night, wind passed through broken window seals, producing low, uneven sounds, almost like breathing. Ethan told himself it was normal. Old houses made noise. That's what he believed. Ethan's family still lived hundreds of miles away. A mother who worried too much, a father who spoke very little, and a younger sister who kept asking when he'd come back. Phone calls were short, awkward. Ethan never mentioned the dam during those calls. He never mentioned how often he found himself thinking about it, because even he didn't understand why. Every morning on his way to get coffee, Ethan passed a narrow road. It led downhill, toward the dam. He never planned to go there, never told himself he would. But each time he passed that road, his foot slowed on the pedal. Not curiosity, not fear, something closer to recognition, like remembering a place he had never visited. Ethan didn't know it yet, but the dam had already noticed him. And once something like that notices you, it doesn't forget. For the next few days, Ethan tried to live normally. Morning coffee, laptop open, emails answered. But concentration slipped easily now. His eyes kept drifting toward the window, toward the direction where the dam stood, hidden behind trees and distance. Sometimes while typing, he'd pause, because for a brief second, he thought he could hear water. Not loud, not rushing, just a low, constant presence, like something waiting. He checked the sink, the pipes, nothing. Still, the feeling stayed. That evening, Ethan stopped by a small diner near the highway. Old place, vinyl booths, walls covered in faded photographs. He casually asked the waitress about the dam. The smile on her face didn't fade, but something behind her eyes did. Still operational, she said quickly, then added, not much to see. No follow-up, no stories. When Ethan looked around, he noticed something strange. Every photograph on the wall avoided one direction of the town. No wide shots, no landscape photos, nothing that showed what lay beyond the trees. That night, Ethan dreamed of water, not drowning, not struggling, just standing. He was inside a narrow concrete corridor, cold walls, wet floor. At the end of the corridor, a sound, not water falling, not machinery, breathing, slow, patient. Ethan woke up before he could turn around. His heart was racing, his room was silent, but his sheets were damp with sweat. The next morning, Ethan opened his work folder. A new file was there. He didn't remember creating it. The name was simple, DAM, internal structure. No date, no author, just diagrams, old ones, the kind used decades ago. As Ethan scrolled, his throat tightened. Some sections were marked in red, but the labels were missing. Only empty boxes, as if something had been erased deliberately. At the bottom of the document, there was a single note, typed in plain text, no formatting, just one sentence. You've been here before. Ethan stared at the screen. He laughed quietly, nervously, because it was impossible. He had never visited this dam. At least, That's what he told himself. By sunset, Ethan had already made a decision, not consciously, not deliberately. It felt more like something settling into place. Tomorrow he would drive down that road, just to look, just to confirm. Nothing more. Outside, the wind picked up, and from far away, very far, came the sound of water hitting concrete, or at least, Ethan thought it did. The next morning, Ethan drove toward the dam. The road felt longer than it should have been. Trees closed in from both sides, no birds, no wind. His radio cut to static halfway through the drive. He turned it off. Silence felt safer. As the dam came into view, Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. Not fear, recognition, like arriving somewhere late. Up close, the dam looked wrong. Too tall for the river, too old for modern records. Water poured endlessly, yet the reservoir above was calm, unmoving, as if the dam wasn't holding water back, but hiding something underneath. Ethan noticed something carved into the concrete. Old, weathered, names, hundreds of them, some scratched out, some unfinished. Near the base of the dam, Ethan found a metal door. No warning signs, no locks, just a single word painted above it. Internal. The door was slightly open. Cold air flowed out, carrying the smell of rust and standing water. Ethan hesitated, then stepped inside. Inside, the corridors were not part of any blueprint. Concrete walls curved unnaturally. No straight lines, no right angles. The deeper Ethan walked, the louder the sound became. Not water, breathing. The walls were wet, not with leaks, but condensation, like the dam was alive. At the center of the structure was a chamber, and inside it, there was no machine, no body, no creature. There was a void, a vertical opening that descended endlessly into darkness. The truth returned to Ethan all at once. This dam was never built to stop water. It was built to seal something that fell from below. Something that doesn't move, doesn't speak, doesn't hunt. It waits, and it needs witnesses. Ethan remembered now. His father had worked here, decades ago. So had his grandfather. Every generation, someone was brought back, not to fix the dam, but to replace the last watcher. The names on the wall weren't victims. They were caretakers. And one name, freshly carved. Ethan tried to leave. The door was gone. The sound of breathing grew slower. Satisfied, the void didn't pull him in. It didn't need to. Ethan sat at the edge and watched, because now he understood. If no one stays, whatever sleeps below will rise. Weeks later, the town was quiet again. The dam stood unchanged, still operational, still silent. A new engineer moved into an old house nearby. Every morning while driving to work, he felt the strange urge to slow down near the dam. Not curiosity, not fear, recognition. Because the dam doesn't trap things, it remembers them.